Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Canadian platinum aspirant Platinum Group Metals' new award-winning platinum find beyond the mapped northern limb of the Bushveld Complex may have the potential to turn the new breed into best of breed. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
Now, you refer to Platinum Group Metals' unmapped Waterberg mine as a Cinderella area. Why do you say this?
You know, the person who helped to discover this, the CEO of PTM, I call it, it's Platinum Group Metals, is listed on the TSX, and his name is Mike Jones. You know, his father was a geology professor, and sort of from a very young age he was learning the ropes at his father's knee, and he eventually did geology himself. So he normally, even though he's a junior, he's got a very major way of doing the geology. So he'll bring in top scientists and top geological people in the industry, and they will think out of the box when they look to apply for prospecting rights. And they normally go out of what is seen as the prospective area. You know, take your ruler and go out in a correct way. And he's done this now in the Bushveld. So he isn't actually in the geological map of the Bushveld where people say, look, there's a lot of chrome and there's a lot of platinum here. He goes slightly out of that, and you know, he hit the jackpot on this one because, you know, whatever he found there was surprised on the upside, and other people just hadn't drilled. So
he's lucky.
Yeah.
The mineralization of this deposit, which is outside of an area of the map Bushveld, as you said, is different from regular reef. What's that story?
Yeah, that's why he said, you know, don't tell me this is Plat Reef, because that is the reef on the northern limb. They refer to it as the Plat Reef. And, you know, in the other parts of the Bushveld, they always referring to the Merensky Reef. That's the prize reef. It was named after Hans Merensky, who discovered it. And then they refer to the UG2 often, the upper group 2. He's saying it's not Plat Reef, it's not UG2, and it's not Merensky. And, you know, the T Reef is after Thijs, one of his top executives who was instrumental in finding this new reef. So they calls it the T Reef. She says it's new. That's why he wanted to be acknowledged, and he got this award. And then the F Reef is after Frank, another one of his geological team. And he's saying, no, these are different, especially with regard to the content of gold. It doesn't have the normal rhodium, but it's got a big 20% gold content. And he's saying, you know, this is stratigraphy that is new.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, Ivanplats is another new breed operator showing enthusiasm about its flat reef projects.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the flat reef, that's the Ivanplats chairperson, Robert Friedland. You know, he had some fantastic discoveries in the Voisey's Bay area, nickel. So he's done quite a bit of finding of geological wealth around the world, and he's now very enthusiastic about his Plat Reef. This is in the Plat Reef. It's deeper though than what the Platinum Group Metals has discovered. But both of these companies, Ivanplats and Platinum Group Metals, they're listed in Toronto. And both of them have Japanese partners. And both of those Japanese partners have a state-owned Japanese entity. You know, JOGMEC is the common denominator there. So it's quite interesting that they're in this area of the Limpopo, and both of them have similar partners, and both of them are getting very enthusiastic because they're looking at what they call the deep, dark and dangerous legacy of our type of platinum mines, which have got legacy issues around labour because they're not really mechanized. And they're saying, no, you know, we are going to be a new breed because we're going to be shallower. Well, in the case of PTM particularly, you know, down at 100 meters to 130 meters, whereas Ivanplats will be about 700 meters, slightly below that. And but both are saying, look, this ore body lends itself to big jumbo drills, mechanized mining. So, you know, our labor is going to be highly paid. It's going to be highly skilled. And Ivanplats says, you know, they will be better trained than surgeons when they go out to extract this wealth from the Limpopo. So it's interesting that both of these guys are very enthusiastic about what they found in the Limpopo, and also they have Japanese partners. And in the case of Ivanplats, he's saying, look, we'll tick all the boxes that the government want.
What do these projects say for the future outlook of platinum in South Africa?
You know, the future outlook of platinum in the view of Ivanplats as Robert Friedland particularly. You know, there is a lot of urbanization in the world. With that, urbanization is going to become, going to create a lot of demand for platinum, because platinum keeps the urban air clean, and it can introduce new technology, you know, with fuel cells. So he is very enthusiastic about the outlook and the demand for platinum, even though we find platinum struggling somewhat at this point in time, mainly because of its close attachment to Europe, and you know, the use of platinum in catalytic converters that are in diesel vehicles particularly. But the view is that with urbanization, this demand is going to really rise, and platinum they see as a metal that is very modern, and it's going to do a lot of things for the modern world, and therefore they want to get involved with platinum. And you can see the Japanese partners also coming in the case of platinum group metals. Those particular partners are keen to be involved with platinum because, you know, the Japanese industry has a lot of automotive backbone to it, and they want to make sure that they can keep getting platinum, and in this way they can get off-take agreements, because they also believe that platinum is going to be very valuable, you know, as we move into the future.
It's also interesting that platinum has been found in a traditionally coal-mined area.
Yes, and that's the Waterberg. He's giving the name the Waterberg. It isn't quite in the Waterberg, but it's what he's called this particular ore body. So this particular project, he's giving that name the Waterberg project. And it's his second big project in South Africa. The first is in the Western Bushveld, the more traditional Rustenburg, close to Rustenburg area, and that is taking a big investment. I mean, he's really put something like $200 million into that already, and it's also fairly shallow and fairly good graded, and he's got a Chinese partner there in the form of the listed company on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, with Sizwe. Yeah, so he's working with the Chinese government on the one side through their companies, he's working with the Japanese government on the other side through companies, and it's interesting that these junior miners, you know, get into this very high level space, and they do things that we're not used to doing, because I think of their geological background. You know, we're more used to engineers taking control, whereas in a lot of these other countries it's the geologists that take control, and they tend to want to firm things up and sometimes sell them thereafter, because they're not really, don't have a track record of being producers. So that'll be interesting to see how far they develop and how far they go in this.
Well, thank you very much, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Shannon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insight into what's happening in the mining world.